Part 1. From calm to chaos. The morning was serene. The sky stretched wide in shades of soft blue, brushed with gentle strokes of sunlight. Flight 327 glided steadily above the clouds, its engines humming like a lullaby, a sound that carried with it the illusion of safety. Inside the aircraft, stories breathed quietly side by side, strangers unknowingly bound together in this fragile vessel. By the window sat a young mother, cradling her baby against her chest. The child's eyelids fluttered, heavy with sleep, his lips curved in the innocent smile of a dreamer untouched by the world. Beside her, her husband flipped through the worn pages of a book, his hand resting protectively on his wife's arm. A few rows ahead, a young businessman leaned over his laptop, muttering under his breath as he rehearsed lines of his presentation. His forehead was damp with nervous sweat, but his eyes carried the hunger of ambition. Farther back, two university students shared a single pair of earphones, their laughter bubbling up now and then as they whispered to each other about music, love, and the promise of life ahead. In the corner sat an old man, his silver hair catching the pale light from the window. His gaze was distant, fixed on the endless sky beyond. In his heart lived the memory of a woman waiting at home, a wife who had prayed for his safe return. His wrinkled fingers tapped softly on the armrest, a silent rhythm of patience and faith. The air inside was calm. The rhythm of breathing hearts, the comfort of unspoken hope. And then, in a single, merciless instant, calm was shattered. A thunderous explosion ripped through the fuselage. The rear of the plane tore open with a sound like the sky itself had cracked apart. Flames erupted, devouring everything in their path, metal, plastic, and the air itself. Passengers screamed as black smoke surged down the aisle, swallowing oxygen, swallowing hope. The young mother pulled her child tighter against her chest. "Hold on, baby, hold on," she whispered with trembling lips. The businessman's laptop clattered to the floor, his presentation scattering in a storm of useless papers. His face was ghostly pale, his ambition suddenly meaningless. The students clung to each other's hands, knuckles white, tears brimming and falling freely. Yet amid the chaos, humanity revealed itself. A flight attendant, her own hands shaking, cried out through the smoke. "Put on your masks. Please, don't panic, we are together." A man in a blue jacket, despite his fear, wrestled against debris to free a woman trapped beneath twisted metal. The old man, his voice calm despite the inferno around him, whispered to those nearby. "Breathe, look at me, we are not alone, we are together." In that fractured steel coffin tearing through the sky, strangers became family. Part 2. The Faces of Humanity. The fire raged, the aircraft groaned under the weight of destruction, but inside, hearts began to glow with a strange light, the light of sacrifice. The young mother pulled her oxygen mask off and fixed it over her child's tiny face. Her lungs burned with smoke, but her eyes were clear with one single prayer. "Let him live, even if I do not." The businessman, who had lived his life chasing only profit, found himself pressing his coat against a child's burning seat to put out the flames. He wrapped the boy in his arms, protecting him as if he were his own. The students, who had spent their flight dreaming of tomorrow, now looked at each other with the honesty of eternity. One whispered to the other, through sobs, "If we don't make it, just know you were the best friend I ever had." In that confession, their fear softened. Even at the edge of death, love lived. The old man began to recite softly. His trembling lips whispered verses of prayer, the sound steady like an anchor in the storm. Around him, passengers closed their eyes, not in surrender, but in strange calm, as if his voice had opened a window beyond fear. The plane was no longer just a machine of steel and wires. It had become a small world where humanity showed its truest face. Part 3. Sacrifice in the Falling Sky. The aircraft descended, wounded and broken, dragged helplessly toward the earth. Gravity pulled, engines screamed, and the cabin shook with violent jolts. A young woman, her leg bleeding, noticed a child crying in the seat beside her. Ignoring her own pain, she unbuckled and pulled the child into her arms. "My mother is gone," she whispered softly, "but you can call me Mama for now." Another passenger, clutching a nearly empty water bottle, pressed it into the hands of a stranger. "I may not survive," he said quietly, "but if this quenches your thirst, then my soul will rest in peace." A man gave up his seatbelt, strapping it instead around a teenager who was paralyzed by fear. "You're young," he said firmly. "You still have dreams. Hold on to them." Through scria.